Hello everybody, NGS here, and welcome back to Takt of Destiny, episode 2 this time. I know that this episode came out yesterday, but I didn't know about that before. I really thought it was a Wednesday show, not a Tuesday show, so I guess my videos on it will be a little bit, delayed by a day from the release date. Or maybe I'll move them one day back to the day of release. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't always have enough time to record on the exact day when it's coming out, so it is what it is. But we are here today, and that's what matters. In the last episode, we were basically just introduced to the world without music, where some alien species, or what seems to be an alien species, came to Earth in a meteorite, or a rain of meteorites rather, and banned all music because they are vulnerable to music, apparently. Thankfully, there was a similar meteorite rain before that gave some people special powers. There are the conductors who do. I don't really know. Like the one conductor we've seen in first episode, he just loses an arm, and that makes it so our main character, main waifu, can henshin into her red dress. I forgot her name, but that's basically what it is. And she fights with music, if by music you mean big ass swords and a big ass gun. It's kind of a weird show, to be perfectly honest with you. It is a weird show, but hopefully we will get to know the systems in this show, the magic system, I guess you could call it, a little bit better in this episode, maybe even in further ones, because it constantly bugs me. Why does he have to lose an arm to make her henshin? Like, we know that he loses some life force or something to power her up or something, but we don't know for sure. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird, but it's kind of neat. And one more thing, I know that this series is a collab by Madhouse and Mappa. I believe the previous episode was Madhouse. This episode is supposed to be Mappa. Correct me if I'm wrong. But from what I've heard, this episode was actually outsourced to yet another studio. Now, does that actually have any impact on this series? I hope not. I hope not. But if we really go the route of each episode being done by a different studio, can get rough. I hope it won't. I have trust in Madhouse, I have trust in Mappa, but it can. It has every right to go wrong, especially if the writing is done by someone else on each episode, which I don't think is the case. I think it's just the execution of the episode that each different studio is responsible for, but I don't know. I guess we'll have to see this episode, and we'll have to see a few more future episodes to fully form our opinion on whether or not uh, it really will be a problem. Again, I hope not, but let's err on the side of caution. So, without further ado, I need to untangle my cables. There we go. And we can start episode 2 of Takt of Destiny. and I'm making sure that it's not stretched or anything, because I had issues with Tsukito Like at Nosferatu. The copy by Subs Please was kind of corrupted or something. This is again Subs Please. Tell me if there's a better encoder, tell me if there are better subs. I will consider switching if it is indeed the case, but right now we have episode 2 of Takt Up Destiny by Subs Please, starting in 3, 2, 1, go. And we're starting in medias res. Monsters are attacking. Okay, we're getting some background on how the invasion happened, I'm guessing. Hmm. And that's his son, I'm guessing. Okay, so the Musicart are created. Hmm. Are they like created and implanted in people? Or is it that the people themselves are created? Okay, so we're getting backstory on him. And she doesn't have her red eyeshadow yet. I'm guessing she's not a Musicart yet. Okay, so I'm guessing the first episode put us in medias res to show what the show is capable of, and now we're actually starting the series from the very beginning. Based on the Dina something. So is it not an anime original? Or is it just a loose interpretation and not an actual adaptation of whatever they mentioned? I'm guessing that's another Maestro and another Musicart, another pair, another pair. Okay, so we're not gonna be alone. And he's losing his arm again. It's a nice OP. Some nice animation, some nice music. I love the smear frames they're doing. The first episode had great smear frames. The OP has great smear frames. Dina, Mappa, and Madhouse. I mean, it's one way to look at it. That's gonna be her catchphrase, isn't it? Shut up. Isn't that like dangerous? Yeah, it's a big bite. Hmm. Music is music that's not heard by anyone really played? And the monster is gonna attack them? No. How can he play there? Won't the monsters come out? Isn't that the premise of the show? That you can't play music because it attracts monsters? Or is this garage so soundproofed that the monsters can't hear it? Uh, 2047, we have a date. Yeah. How very American this art style is. Uh, that's gonna attract monsters. She's gonna get attacked. And on the brink of death, she will be turned into a Musicart. That's my suspicion. Didn't you play at an actual big scene with your father? I mean, if the word abandon music, then the bar is set like super low. So whatever you play is gonna be great. She's playing the piano. How did she learn though? Do they have a second piano somewhere? She learned by observing him? No. And she's from France. Is piano like... Oh. Oh, that's odd. Cool. Why will they be disallowed from playing anything but what was prepared by the Symphonica? The perfect waifu. Yeah? Will you be able to play the piano if there's no one to listen? Is there any point to music if no one listens to it? There's any point to art if no one sees it? Truce? They took the piano! Damn. No, she didn't. No, they didn't. He will. He's gonna chase after his piano. They brought a piano. That's the trouble. He's evil. I can tell by the haircut. Yeah. Yep. How do you know that? CG hands. And that's when monsters show up. And here's Takt. It's not one of the allowed songs, I'm assuming. What's gonna go wrong? Because something's gonna go wrong. Oh, the military. Do they like it or do they not? They like it. Okay. I thought that dude's gonna be evil, but apparently not. Nice shot of the piano. The internals of it. Is her amulet glowing? Was it glowing? I think it was glowing. It is glowing. It most certainly is glowing. Is that the shard of the meteorite that brought Musicart? I think that might be it. Now it's all powered up or something? And here come the monsters. Yeah, you play music, monsters come out. Okay, that has something to do with his arm disappearing, I'm guessing. Will he lose his will he lose his arm and get a magic one or something? The amulet is gonna resurrect her, revive her. Yep. And she's gonna get infused with the power of the stone and turned into a Musicart at the cost of his arm. At the cost of his arm. And she gets henshined. Okay, so we have our origin story, and he gets a connection to her. So it's no longer Cosette. It's a Musicart that possessed her body. Something. Okay, we're gonna stop on a cliffhanger. That's fine. That went by quick. Hmm. They're traveling to the Symphonica so that they can fix Cosette. Hmm. Dena mappa. Okay. Huh. So, as I mentioned, they are traveling to the Musicart, the Symphonica in New York to fix Cosette. I'm assuming that's to restore her to how she was. Because I might be mistaken, but I think her demeanor in the first episode and in the second episode was different. So could it be that nowadays she is actually possessed somehow by the Musicart crystal or whatever you want to call it? And they want to have their old Cosette back. And Symphonica can somehow help with that. Hmm. Okay, let's scroll through the episode. I guess I'll have to move out a little bit. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I'm uh, I'm placed well within the frame, I believe. But my mic is further away. I hope you can still hear me. Okay, so we have the military. They banned music to give them time to assemble some strike force against D2s, something of the sort. And here we have the father of our main character being buried. Yeah. And the one on the left seems to be uh the redhead sister whose name I can't remember for the life of me. But that's her. Same hairstyle, the same eye shape. Those those microphones, they don't look good. But one thing I noticed about this episode, look at the background. The background actually looks painted. And yeah, the backgrounds actually look good. As opposed to the first episode, where the backgrounds were kinda shit, mostly just reusing the same set of textures. In this episode, the backgrounds are actually good. And here we meet Cosette and Takt. And Cosette is all cheery and bubbly and expressive, completely unlike she is in episode 1. And they're childhood friends or something. Takt is a hikikomori. And here we have the OP. Yeah, we see some of our pairings. Here we have one conductor and Musicart. Another conductor and his Musicart. This motherfucker's gonna be evil, calling it now. You don't have that hairstyle and are a good person. You just don't. And you don't get to bend your neck all shaft like without being evil. You don't get to have that smirk without being evil. And here we have the main military dude with his Musicart. Now we know why he lost his arm. I mean, we don't know why, but we know how. I'm assuming he lost his arm as a price to pay for the resurrection of Cosette. Yeah, Tact is a little shit. Cosette is all nice and bubbly and smiley and expressive. Why would you need to move to New York? Do you have some business with the Symphonica? Even before Cosette became possessed? Maybe. It's playing music, reminisce. Now, this is unclear to me. Is he reminiscing of old times? Or is he having, well, not delusions, but is he imagining that that's what he would be doing if his father was still alive? Perhaps. Because later he mentions that he never performed on a scene, that only Cosette and her sister were witnesses to his music. And here we're having like the most American looking Japanese art I've ever seen. It's something you would see in a Fallout game. This art style really is something you would see in a Fallout game. Yeah, he's not gonna play because he's insecure. Now she's playing because her mother taught her, and her mother gave her this pendant, assuming, as a safeguard. Was her mother a Musicart before her? We don't know yet. There's still many things we simply do not know. Talking about music. Nothing much happens, and here we have the festival. There is some music in the background of this festival at times. Now, is it the soundtrack of the show, or is music actually playing? We see people dancing, but are they dancing to music, or are they just like dry dancing? Because why would the music they play at this festival not attract D2s, but music played by Takt would? Is there something to the grand piano that irks the D2s in particular? Or is there something about how much heart you put into the performance that irks the D2s? Or is it that they have a list of pre approved songs that the D2s don't mind, and anything but gets punished? And like the green is not a creative color episode of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared? Maybe? I don't know. She starts performing Pathetique. He comes in, says, Don't play Pathetique, it's pathetic. I'm gonna play. He plays, he invites her, and they play a duo. And he is happy. I was suspicious of the military, but maybe I shouldn't be suspicious of this dude. Only the blondie. Hard to tell, hard to tell. We don't know much yet. And we didn't really get to know much more in this episode because most of it has been spent playing music, honestly. Which is fit for the show, don't get me wrong, but I'd much rather get into like story and the world than the Fifth Symphony of Bach or whatever they're playing. And it went well. And suddenly everything's going to shit. Boom. D2s arrive. It's a nice sound. That makes a nice sound. That that's a nice sound. Now I still prefer the sound of magic in like Saga of Tanya the Evil and Princess Principal. This also sounds cool. And his right arm is all bloodied and broken, and she's dying. But thankfully, she charged her crystal with the power of music beforehand. Something. And we're getting a bit of a henshin. Well, not quite yet. See this spirit? Something. The rose, thorns. They grab his arm. And we see this flaming spirit. Spirit of the crystal, the music art. And no, I don't. What? I don't want subtitle delay. I don't want the interlace. How do you switch? Go frames. No, I don't want audio delay. Okay, fuck it. I'm gonna do it like this. And chomp. And his arm is gone. But the flaming spirit of music is satisfied with this offering, and she resurrects her into a Musicart proper or something. Turns her into a Fate character. Some nice bits of animation we see here, some nice bits of art. This shot is cool. His eyes glowing, raises up. Calls him a maestro. And manifests the baton. Yeah, and gives him the baton. And I'm assuming this baton turns into his right arm when not in use. Something. I forgot how it was in the first episode, but is it because she was born resurrected with the offering of his right arm? Then her power is enclosed in his right arm? Like if she, when she detransforms, all that power goes back to him and reforms his right arm? I think I think that's the mechanic we're going for here. I think that's it. Wonder if other conductors also had to sacrifice their body parts, or could they perhaps have sacrificed something else? Or did they have to sacrifice anything? Perhaps Takt and Cosette are are unique somehow, as it usually is in anime. Due to activity, I will not eliminate them. Her entire demeanor has changed. 180. She's no longer bubbly, she's no longer expressive, she's very cool, very cold. I'm guessing that's what they're trying to fix by traveling to the Symphonica in New York. Perhaps they want to remove the spirit of Musicart or whatever it is from her and restore her to how she was. That's my suspicion, but of course we don't know yet. So much we don't know. And he suddenly has the will to fight. Suddenly makes this face out of nowhere. Is he also possessed to some degree? He doesn't question anything that happens, he just takes that face value. She says, I'm gonna exterminate the D2s, and he's all like, alright, eyes glowing, all snarling. Well, let's exterminate the D2s. And we end on a cliffhanger. And there isn't anything after credits. Oh. Game. So, to sum it up, episode 2 did answer some questions. Did answer the question of how he lost his arm, what connection his arm might have to Colette's Henshin. Colette's? I forgot already. I think it's Cosette. To Cosette's Henshin. We answered the question of... No, we didn't really answer more questions. We answered the question of how she became a Musicart. Because I asked this question at the beginning of this episode. When they mentioned that Musicarts are created. Are the Musicarts created and implanted in people, become the Musicart bearers, or are the people themselves created? It seems to be the former. That they take the shards of the meteorite that fell onto Earth before the black meteorite that spawned monsters, and they use them somehow to turn people into Musicarts. Man, I need to know more. I'm invested. Not so much in the story, to be perfectly honest with you. Not so much with the story. Not so much with the characters. At least not yet. But I'm invested in the world. Because I can tell that they're going for some cool things here, for some cool ideas. And I appreciate that. And I like that. And I want more. I need more. Also, I've heard that, as I mentioned at the beginning, I've heard that this episode was made by another studio, outsourced to someone else, and that some people were mad at it. That there was apparently a drop in quality or something. I did not notice that. Honestly, the only thing I noticed is the lack of those cool smear frames and particularly cool animations. But let's be honest, there wasn't any reason to have good animations in this episode. There wasn't any fighting or anything, so it's not really noticeable. But what I did certainly notice is the backgrounds, as I mentioned. Backgrounds in the first episode really, really did bug me. They really look low effort. Like if someone made a scene in like GIMP or Photoshop or something. I don't know if Photoshop has the texture tool, but I know GIMP has, and just flood filled the walls of buildings with like generic brick. It really did look bad. In this episode, backgrounds are much, much better, and I hope in future episodes we can have the quality of animation of the first episode and the quality of backgrounds of the second episode. Other than that, I didn't really notice any particular discrepancies in episode 1 and episode 2. Characters all stayed on model, the story didn't deviate, so no differences here either. If I didn't know that it was made by a different studio, I wouldn't have known, honestly. It was good. I liked it, and I'm wanting more. I want more. I really do. I think next week I might record it early because I won't be able to stop myself for a whole day from watching the next episode. So expect the schedule to shift perhaps a little bit. And if you can't wait for more, subscribe to the channel so you get notified. Like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, but tell me why so I can improve. Leave a comment down below. What do you think of this episode? What do you think of my video? Did you notice something I didn't? Did I notice something you didn't? Do you have any thoughts about the change of the studio who made this episode? Any fears? Any hopes, perhaps? Do let me know down in the comments. If you really like what I'm doing and want to get some bonuses like access to my Discord server or early access to some of my reactions, support me on Patreon. You can find a link down in the description. And I think that's it. That's my whole ending spiel. So do all the good stuff, guys, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers.